Okay, we're live. Hi, folks.
Hey, everyone.
Quick introduction. So I'm Vince. I'm one of the founders of Uplisting. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Arthur from StayFi to discuss driving direct bookings in 2023. Hi, Arthur.
Hey, Vince. Good to be joining you.
Awesome. Arthur's in Hawaii at the moment, so a bit nicer than
rough,
a cold
rough
New York.
life over here.
Lovely. We got a good few in. So I'll just as we let people in, a brief introduction on what we're going to be covering. So Arthur is going to cover marketing for direct bookings, so how to get guests to book direct, or how to encourage them to book direct. And then once your marketing is kicked in, you then need to obviously accept direct bookings. And so I'm going to explain how to accept direct bookings once your marketing is doing its thing, take payments, how to be comfortable with direct bookings, and how to ensure direct bookings don't add a lot of additional work. So I'm going to go first, and I'll introduce Uplisting briefly, and then I'm going to do a quick demo into how you can use Uplisting to process direct bookings and automate the whole flow of the process. Let me just go forward in the slide. I forgot how to do this. As we're going through it, you can leave any questions you want under the questions tab, and we'll either answer them as we go if it's relevant, or we will answer them. We'll leave some time at the end for them for the questions. We've got a question already. Will there be a recording? I think there will be. Yeah, it should be. It is recorded, so there will be a recording at the end. We'll make sure that you can get access to that. Okay, wrong button. Okay, so for those that don't know Uplisting, we are an Airbnb preferred software partner, channel manager. We're built specifically for growing short-term rental businesses. We're also one of the few solutions to offer Google vacation rentals, and Google vacation rentals are driven through direct bookings or through your direct booking website on Uplisting. Our goal is to help you confidently grow your short-term rental business and to maximize how much you can earn. And one of our real focuses at Uplisting is on reliability and user experience. So we want Uplisting to be as easy as possible to use, simple to use, less mistakes. We kind of want you to. Our goal is to enable your business to be on autopilot. So we have lots of features to help you automate your business. We have, in terms of automating tasks, automating guest messages, taking payment. We have guest identity verification, e-sign rental agreements, security deposits, which I'll go through in a little bit because they're very relevant to direct bookings. So lots of functionality here to really automate, put your business on autopilot and reliably so. We have members all over the world. We have members ranging from 1 to over 500 properties. So we're a great platform to scale on and a long-term partner. We've had members start an Uplisting with 5 properties and grow to over 400. And we work really closely with our members and like to have that relationship. Just a few points on why, what we've heard from our customers. It's easy to use. Really reliable, again, driving that home. It's really important to us that you can totally rely on our platform. There's a central hub to manage all of your bookings and properties and content. Automating guest communications is a huge selling point, and our click and play direct booking website, which I'll show you soon. Just on the direct booking website, just to make sure you're comfortable with what we're talking about, we have processed over nearly 40 million in direct bookings in 2022. We released our first direct booking engine in late 2019 and have really doubled or more since then with direct bookings. So it's both you can see here that it's an extremely important channel for a lot of our customers, and that we are processing a significant volume through direct bookings. Just a screenshot of our direct booking website, which I'll show live in a minute. And just to know that direct bookings, can be daunting if you're not doing any yet or not taking direct bookings yet. Through Uplisting, you can launch your booking website in literally in a few minutes. Just click and play. You can sync prices, availability instantly. You can accept payments, like even split payments, pay part now, part later. Guest ID and so on, which I mentioned before, and then automated messaging and unified inbox. So I'm going to do a quick video walkthrough of the platform. Let me just share my screen. And what I'm going to touch on here is accepting direct bookings and payments. So, how a guest can book directly through you. The peace of mind, so making sure you're comfortable with taking direct bookings. By, so Airbnb, a typical thing that people say is that Airbnb verify the guest. How can I do that for direct bookings? How do I know who's staying in my property? So we can help you with that. And then making sure that there's minimal additional workload to achieve those things. Let me just share my screen quickly. Okay. All right, so this is the direct booking website that we provide to you, and you can customize some of this. I won't go into too much detail here, but you have a direct booking website that you that all of your properties are on instantly. So what happens is you connect Airbnb to Uplisting, and then we create this direct booking website within a matter of seconds. You connect a Stripe account to process payments, and we process all your payments through Uplisting. So this is the portal. So say Arthur and StayFi are helping to generate the marketing material and emails, and a guest is going to click to book. They may click on a link to this website where they can then select a date range and number of guests, and they can also kind of limit this to the location. They can then get a list of properties that are available on that date range. Select one of those properties. You can then see a listing page very similar to Airbnb, and again, this is coming directly from Airbnb. All the content's automatically synced in, so it's instant. You can see the images and so on, and then the prices here. So you can see that the price of this property is 1,421 euro, and we have this pay part now, part later feature. So you can say I want to collect 10% up front and the remainder X days before check-in, for example. I can click on instant book. I can enter my name here. I can spell it correctly. Phone number, email address. I can opt into marketing, and I can see that I'm paying a portion up front here. Then enter in my payment information, and optionally I can accept some terms that I as a host have set. And click on confirm the reservation. And this booking then gets processed through Stripe, so the payment's taken automatically, and then the guest is presented with this guest booking confirmation page. Every booking Uplisting has this unique page where you can perform a few tasks, and some of the ones that are maybe particularly relevant for direct bookings are guest verification, security deposit collection, and the rental agreement. So a common concern when taking direct bookings is that I don't know who's staying in my property. So we solve that through guest verification, where a guest uploads their ID, it gets verified as being legitimate. And you can also ask the guest to take a selfie, and the selfie is compared to the ID to make sure that the guest who's booking, or the guest who's the ID that's uploaded is the same as the person who is in the selfie. A security deposit. So again, Airbnb kind of take a deposit. You can replicate this through Uplisting. So you can say, I want to take a $200 or euro or pounds deposit, and Uplisting will automatically place a hold on the credit card 24 hours before check-in, so that there's no transaction fees, and unless you want to actually take some of that deposit. Again, this gives you this protects your property, gives you some peace of mind. And then the third one is a rental agreement. So you can enforce your guests to adhere to your agreement and your rules. So if I, for this reservation here, for example, I can sign this with my mouse. It's not a very standard signature, or if it's on my phone, I can use my finger, and then I can submit the signature for review. So this is the guest booking confirmation page. If I then go in and find this reservation on my Uplisting calendar, which is here, what date? February 14th. Maybe a load of these under my name. Yeah, I should use a different name. Anyway, I'll choose another reservation. So if I click on this Ariella, for example, I can see on the reservation Uplisting, these are the pre-arrival tasks. So the guest ID, deposit, rental agreement, and I can see if they have been done or not. These have all been overridden. They've been marked as not required, but I can see the booking has been paid. If I click on this reservation, for example, I can see that payment 1's been charged, payment 2's been charged, guest ID has not been verified, rental agreement has not been signed, and I'll just go and sign this one quickly so you can see what this looks like once it's complete. Is that done? We then convert that into a PDF document, which is effectively your signed rental agreement. And then I can view that rental agreement here. So it's got my logo, it's got a date stamp, and it's got the entire rental agreement and signature at the bottom. So all done automatically through Uplisting. So the idea is that these features here that are all built into Uplisting help give you the peace of mind that you're comfortable accepting direct bookings, because you can tell who the guest is, they paid a deposit, and extend your rental agreement. There's another way to add direct bookings on Uplisting. So if you're taking a lot of bookings over the phone or via email, for example, we have this pretty neat feature called pending bookings. I'll just create one really quickly. So I can create a booking in the calendar, manipulate the pricing. I can give this guest a name, like so, phone number, email address, and I can create a pending booking. So what happens here is by default, Uplisting sets this booking to automatically expire within 48 hours unless the guest pays for the reservation, and they pay for the reservation on this pricing page, which is again unique, and you can automate and you can send it through email. But the idea here is for some of our members, they take a lot of bookings over the phone or via email, and rather than having to remember bookings they've added and check if the guest has paid, it's all done automatically, and the booking's just cleared within 48 hours, or you can change it to 72 hours or whatever you want. And if the guest does not pay within that time period, then the booking gets removed from your calendar and your dates are opened up for booking again. So that's the peace of mind, adding a booking. The final thing I was going to talk about was the automation and making sure there's not a lot of workload or additional workload. So on Uplisting, we have an outbound feature, which is a really flexible automated guest messaging functionality. And you can use it for a number of ways. You can say a new booking message, for example, thanks for booking, send 1 minute after booking. But when we're referring to the pre-arrival tasks, so we want our guests to sign the agreement, pay a deposit, verify their ID. If they haven't done that, you have to chase them effectively. So you have to make sure they do that in some in a timely manner. And rather than doing that all manually by checking to see if the guest has performed that task, you can automate it through Uplisting. So I'll just give you a quick example here of this reminder. All pre-arrival requirements are outstanding, so the guest hasn't done any of the tasks that we want them to do. The way that this looks is you can set the title, you can add the dynamic content into the message here. It's really flexible. I won't go into too much detail about what you can do, but it is powerful. I'm going to send this message 7 days before arrival, and then the way that we automate the follow-ups is that we can say only send this message if the rental agreement is not signed, the deposit needs payment information, and the guest identity is not verified, and send it to each property. So you can send this. This one goes out 7 days before arrival. There's another one that goes out 3 days before arrival, and another one that goes out 1 day before arrival. But you can entirely customize that into what you think is a good cadence for your business. So that is how to automate the chasing and following up to make sure that guests do perform those tasks. There's one more feature just to show you quickly is brand new feature in Uplisting that we're releasing next week is our dashboard. So this is like an operational hub for your entire business. So you can see here that I'm looking at today, what's happening in my business today. I can see my check-ins, checkouts, and people that are staying another night or so. These are, you can see quite a bit of information as to what the guest name, the total payout, the status, and so on. So this is like check-in, checkout stays. We have another section here, which is really helpful, which is action required. So what I'm looking at here is any bookings that are checking in today, or I can say the next 7 days, for example, that require some action. So the under booking payments, it means that these guests have not paid for the reservation either in full or have not paid for the reservation in full. This displays any bookings that have not paid for their security deposit. Same with the guest ID and rental agreements. So it's really really simple to get a quick overview of what's happening in your business and where you need to action in some way. And we have a third section, which is all about new booking activity, where you can see these are all my new bookings that have come in, inquiries, requests, pending bookings, and also canceled bookings. So a really cool dashboard to get a good overview of what's going on in your business and, again, help you with the direct booking management.
Okay. Vince, there are a lot of uplisting related questions. I don't know if you want to answer some of them now quickly, or tell people how they can, like, some of them might be more complex and they want like a one-on-one demo because they want a fuller overview of the product. So
maybe as you're talking, I can answer some of the questions, and then if they're all specific to uplisting, I'll just do it that way, and then I can answer at the end if helpful. But let me just go back to my presentation quickly. How do I do that? 2 seconds. Okay, so that's a quick video run through, and final slide from me is the next. If you want to start using Uplisting, we have a 14-day free trial, no credit card required. It's self-service. You can set up yourself. We also have onboarding calls and a weekly webinar to help you get started. So that's all from me. I'll try and answer some of your questions in the chat, and over to Arthur. Thank you.
Sweet. Yeah, and at StayFi, we work with a lot of uplisting customers, and they're all very happy. So definitely, if you're interested, based on what you've seen, set up time or have a demo with Vince and his team. And I'm going to switch over to a different PDF. And part of the reason we're doing this webinar now is that StayFi just launched a new integration with Uplisting. So if you already use Uplisting or you're interested in using Uplisting, I'm also going to be covering some of the new integration functionality between our two products, and how that will assist you in driving even more traffic to your website and more inquiries when it comes to getting direct bookings or repeat direct bookings of your listings. Just a little bit about StayFi and our mission. We were founded in 2018 to help short-term rental operators achieve listing site independence. And what that really means in a nutshell is all of our customers are going to use OTAs as an important part of your distribution strategy, but we really believe that you should never be dependent on just one channel to drive the vast majority of your bookings, just because you have no control over what they're going to do, what fees they're going to charge, what policies they're going to change, or suspending you or anything like that. So we really want to make sure that you have the data and ability to operate independently of booking sites. And the main way we do this is by collecting data and helping you market to your guests. We really believe the most likely way that you're going to achieve direct bookings for your listings is with repeat guests who already have experienced your brand and love staying in your properties. We know how hard it is to establish trust with people that have never stayed in your homes before. That's why they're going to Airbnb and VRBO. But once the guest stays with you, we really believe they're the most likely to come back and book with you again. And finally, because we're a Wi-Fi tool, there's some other really cool occupancy, outage alerting, and Wi-Fi management tools that can also just make your business easier to run. And then when it comes to our customers, we service really all types of short-term rental operators. So we have customers with one listing who have great success with direct bookings, and then people with 300, 400, 500 plus listings who are collecting hundreds of thousands of guest contacts every year. And we operate in any country. So all of our Wi-Fi technology is run through access points or Wi-Fi hardware from a company called Ubiquiti Unify to be specific. And this hardware, while we sell it directly in the United States and Canada, it can be purchased anywhere in the world, and then we can help add it to your StayFi accounts. We operate in Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, the Middle East. We have customers all over the world, and we can help you find the hardware in your country so that you can also use StayFi wherever you happen to be located. And many people find that actually in their vacation rentals, they already have this hardware. It's definitely the most commonly installed professional Wi-Fi equipment in homes, and I'd say small hotels and motels. So if you have compatible Ubiquiti Unify equipment, we can also work with you with your current hardware. Kind of what do people see when they start using StayFi? What's realistic when it comes to direct booking? That was one of the questions I saw earlier, like what's a healthy amount? And I'd say anything between 20 to 60% is pretty typical in the US when someone's dedicated some time to this strategy. So an example is Cozy Vacation Rentals in Texas. So they're kind of in the Austin Lake area, not in the city, but the surrounding region like Fredericksburg. They came to us completely dependent on the Airbnb and Vrbo for 99% of their bookings. And now after a year, they're about 25 to 30% direct, almost all repeat stays. That's just because they have large homes, they have fantastic properties. And now that they're collecting data from the 10, 12, 15 people staying in the properties, they're getting a lot of repeat traffic with their kind of drive-to destination that they operate in Texas. The other example is kind of at the way higher end of direct bookings, cottage stays in Canada. They have 15 units, but they've been operating for 20 plus years. So they already had 50, 60% direct booking when they came to StayFi. And her goal, Jennifer, was to be 100% direct in the high season and then help fill some of the off-season bookings in her area. And now she doesn't even list from June to September on OTAs. She just has her repeat guests fill her entire calendar. So, that's definitely achievable. We see that especially with more mature players who've been operating for a long time and have that dedicated customer base. But if you don't have that dedicated customer base, that's what we want to help you build. So you have those brand loyalists that are booking with you again and again and not going back to the big OTAs. So today, quickly, we're just going to cover first, what does the integration do between StayFi and Uplisting, and how's that going to even accelerate your direct bookings faster? Then Vince covered booking site basics. I'm going to just briefly run over kind of what the best steps are to getting set up if you don't have a direct booking site or you want to upgrade yours. Then we're going to jump into email marketing. That's the most successful tactic that we see our customers use to drive those direct bookings. We're not going to talk about SEO, search marketing. I'd say those are kind of more advanced things. Google ads that we see really large operators, like more than 100 listings, kind of those classic vacation rental destinations have success with. It's definitely a more mature strategy that you're going to probably hire an agency to help you do. I'd say for the everyday short-term rental operator from 1 to 100 listings, email marketing is going to be the quickest and fastest way to start driving direct bookings. And then finally, if you do email marketing, you kind of want to figure out how to measure it. So at the end, we're going to talk briefly about Google Analytics and how you can start to see how your email marketing is paying off for you. For the integration, there's kind of 3 areas that this integration focuses on. One is setup. So just making it really easy to create a StayFi account and importing and linking all the properties in StayFi to the properties in Uplisting. So we have this relationship so that there's a clear, property A and Uplisting is property A and StayFi, and they're linked together. The next is kind of the most important feature, which is pulling any existing guest data you have from Uplisting into StayFi. So StayFi offers our own email and text marketing tools. And obviously, we're going to help you collect data to fill those tools from the Wi-Fi, but you probably already have a good amount of data in Uplisting that can also be used for marketing. So we definitely want to go look in your Uplisting account, screen out all the bad garbage Airbnb Vrbo emails, and anytime you have real guest data, we're going to pull it into our email marketing tool so that you have all your guest data in one place, making it even easier to market to everyone. And then finally, we do occupancy alerting using the Wi-Fi, so we're counting the number of unique guests online at any time. With this integration, we're actually looking at your current reservation. So even if a house sleeps 10, if it's only booked for 6, and we see there's 8 unique people on the Wi-Fi, we're going to alert you to let you know there's more people than should be in the rental property. So just quickly just showing you kind of what the UI for StayFi looks like and the process to link things. I know this is kind of on the smaller end, so maybe a little hard to see. Basically, when you create a StayFi account, there's a button that says sync with PMS. And so you can go look through all your properties in Uplisting and just pull the ones you want into StayFi. And that will automatically link for the dynamic occupancy alerting. So we'll do all of that for you. And when you import a property into StayFi, you also pick which splash page you want to show the guests. So when the guest arrives in the property, they'll select the Wi-Fi, and then the splash page will load on their device where they enter their information before accessing the Wi-Fi. You can actually have a unique splash page for each property in StayFi. So if you want to greet the guests with the name of the property, give them some information about that home, that's definitely possible, so that every guest has that unique experience when they're logging into the Wi-Fi. Next is importing uplisting data into our email marketing tool. When you connect Uplisting and StayFi, you'll have the option to import historical data into our email tool, and you can pick how far back you want to go. So on the left here, you can see it's all time, but if you just only want to import the last years or last 2 years, you can do that as well. And not only are we pulling in the name and email of the guest, we're actually pulling in their booking history and future booking history. So when you want to become more sophisticated in email marketing, let's say you want to send out a discount code, but you want to exclude anybody that has a future booking, you can set up a segment that includes all your records, but people that have a next booking date. And that way you can send a coupon out to everybody who doesn't have a current reservation. So you don't have people with current reservations hitting you up saying why can't I get this discount as well? So you have all the ability to filter based on their past booking history as well as future booking history when it comes to data pulled in from your property management software. Finally, the dynamic occupancy alerting, I'll show you here briefly. Basically, for each property, you can turn the occupancy alerting on, and then you can set who's going to receive the alert for that property. This means you could have different alerts for different homes. So if you have different property managers in different areas, you can make sure only the relevant person is being alerted. And when you do get an alert, there's you get an email that tells you all the guest names, the devices they have connected. And there's actually a link to this page in StayFi where you can see the devices connected to the Wi-Fi, the names of all the users, and if they're throwing a party, for instance, you can even block people from using the internet, or they shouldn't be there still. You can kick them offline. So you have a lot of options when it comes to seeing who's on the internet and how you want to treat those devices. When it comes to direct booking sites, Vince gave you a great overview of how their tool works. And that's pretty much the kind of pattern we see with most short-term rental operators. They start on the OTAs, like Airbnb or Vrbo. Then they want to list easily on all these different sites to get the most bookings, so they use Uplisting. And then obviously Uplisting will launch them a direct booking site as well. And Vince showed how easy that is, where it'll actually just pull all the data you want into the site already and just generate it for you. I'd say the next step is when you're looking to build an even more sophisticated website that has more pages, blogs, information guides, then we see people typically engaging with an agency to help them build a website. Boostly, IC&D are pretty common agencies. I'm sure Vince and Uplisting could provide you more that they work with. But if you want to build those very sophisticated websites, then typically we see people turn to one of these specialized agencies that builds vacation rental websites. And that, typically when people get to 20 to 50 plus listings is when they start seeing the need to invest in a really robust website with a ton of content. And on the right here, Vince kind of implied a lot of these advantages to direct bookings, but obviously commission free. You can get paid however you like. You can take whatever deposit you like. You're not subject to Airbnb's damage waiver, which can be very challenging. You can have your own insurance that covers your short-term rental. You can implement any guest screening you want. So there's just so much more control when it comes to direct bookings and setting it up the way you like. So you just have a lot more power than being beholden to whatever the current policy of that booking site is. Before you get started with email marketing, which is what we're going to mainly talk about for the rest of this presentation, I'm actually going to show some case studies of real customers of StayFi and how they set up email, there's a few things that you should know, especially if you have a lot of data already and you've never done any email marketing. The first is when you set up a tool for email marketing like MailChimp or StayFi's own email marketing tool, you have to authenticate your domain. And all that means is this SPF and DKIM, which sounds kind of technical and scary. Basically, you have to prove to the email sending tool that you're using that you own the domain. Otherwise, anyone could set up an email tool and send emails from Facebook or Google, right? So we have to prove we own the domain we are sending from. So we send instructions when you create a StayFi email account on how to set up your DNS, so GoDaddy, for instance, to prove that you own the domain you're sending from, and we make sure you do that before you start sending emails. Second thing is, when you start sending emails, it's very suspicious for, when Gmail sees that you're sending like 50,000 emails and you've never sent emails before, they think you've purchased a list and you don't have the right to send emails. So if you have a lot of data, but you've never sent emails, it's important to warm up your sending domain. So you want to always start sending to a list smaller than 3,000 individuals. And then let's say you have a list of 10,000, start with the 3,000 most recent subscribers or guests. And then over time, you can add additional guests to your sending list. You just don't want to blast a ton of people when you have no history of sending marketing emails. Of course, you want to use a reputable tool. So StayFi's email marketing tool is built on Campaign Monitor, which we'll talk a lot more about. And we provide all of our customers a discounted Campaign Monitor account through our tool. So that's what we're going to mainly speak about. But StayFi also connects to all the other major email marketing tools. So if you already use MailChimp or ActiveCampaign, Constant Contact, etc., you can also make sure that all the data you collect with StayFi gets sent there. But if you are using our tool, which will also pull in your uplisting data, we're going to be using Campaign Monitor. Understanding the difference between transactional and promotional emails. So most of the messaging you're going to be sending through uplisting or a PMS is going to be transactional. It's going to be related to the stay, the booking in, like the pre-arrival instructions, all those things. When it comes to StayFi's emails, you should really think of them as promotional emails that we're sending not just to the booker, but the entire guest party during and after the stay. So the transactional emails are vital. They actually are under a different regulation. So promotional emails are regulated by CAN-SPAM, which means you have to get opt-in to send emails. Transactional emails, you don't need those opt-ins. So the great thing about running the transactional emails through uplisting and the promotional emails through StayFi is if a guest unsubscribes through StayFi because they don't want to receive promotional emails, they'll still receive your transactional emails, which you're legally still allowed to send them. And that way you make sure that your transactional emails are always being received by everybody, even if they end up not wanting to receive your marketing emails. And finally, I'll just talk a little bit about be realistic about what you can produce. And so the best way to get started with email automation is what we're going to talk mainly about. So set it and forget it email marketing. So the easiest way to get started with email without having to commit yourself to building weekly or monthly newsletters. And then finally, just knowing how to measure whether you're being successful or not. I talked about Campaign Monitor. Here's just a little more detail. So everyone with a StayFi account can create a StayFi Campaign Monitor account within our tool. And it's a monthly charge based on the number of contacts that you have in your Campaign Monitor account. And you get a discount versus what you would pay if you went directly with them. We've actually built this tool in partnership with Switchback, which is an email marketing agency. So what's really cool about our tool is you can self-service, so you can do all the emails yourself, or you can actually purchase services from Switchback within the tool if you want help building a custom template or setting up an automation and maybe you're not comfortable doing it yourself. You actually purchase all the services you would ever need from Switchback within the tool as well. And you can think of it as a Campaign Monitor email account with some special short-term rental features built in as well. And if you don't want to use StayFi's Wi-Fi tools yet, but you have uplisting, for instance, you can get started just with the email account, pull in all the uplisting data, and then add the Wi-Fi tools later to add even more data. So you can use the email account just by itself to pull in all your uplisting data and decide to supplement it with additional Wi-Fi data in the future. When it comes to collecting emails, we really think of 3 different places. So I talked a little bit about uplisting data. I think that's the best place to start because you've already collected this data. It's probably sitting in your uplisting account. You've never used it. So setting up StayFi is a great way to just pull any valuable data you have into an email marketing list to get started. Then the next best place, or the best place with StayFi, is to set up the Wi-Fi collection. And this is going to give you the advantage of collecting not just data from the booker, but the entire guest party, and introduce them to your brand when they log into the Wi-Fi. So this is what one of the splash pages looks like when you use StayFi. So you can see here the guest connects to the Wi-Fi. In this case, it's Beachcomber or vacation homes. They're going to get this right in their device. They enter their information. They check the box. They hit connect. When they hit connect, you can actually forward them to any website you'd like. So you can take them to your, uplisting direct booking site, a digital guidebook, whatever you'd like. And that way you're exposing your independent brand to every person staying in the home. Because you can imagine if they booked you on Airbnb, they're probably referring to your rentals on Airbnb. And we want to fight that as much as possible. So it's important to, reinforce the idea that you have an independent brand that's better to book with directly as many times as you can. And the splash page is a great place to do that. And then after connecting, going to your website, and then finally I'll show you, you want to trigger them an email right after they log in so you can continue to reinforce that messaging that direct booking is superior and that you're an independent brand and not Airbnb. And then finally, when you do have a website, it's a great place to collect data as well. I love this kind of give-get pop-ups or kind of little sidebar forms on a website where you can, ask for a name and email when someone's on your website and send them a guidebook or a discount off their next stay. And so especially if you're investing in a website and you're paying for social media ads or Google ads that are driving traffic to your website, you'd also want to have a collection form there to maximize the ROI. So even if you bought a visitor to come to your website and they didn't book with you right then, you at least at a minimum want to capture your email. One of the different types of email campaigns you can send, I split this into 2 categories. One are automations and one are one-off campaigns. The first thing I always recommend is setting up an automation campaign. These are emails that are sent automatically whenever a guest subscribes or performs some other action. And that way you can set up marketing that's sent to everyone or every individual whose data you collect. And you don't need to set up those recurring campaigns at first. The most important one when using StayFi is the welcome email. So in Campaign Monitor within our tool, you can set up an email or whenever someone joins your Wi-Fi list. So every time a guest signs into the Wi-Fi, they join this Wi-Fi list, and then you trigger a welcome email. And then that email, it's important to recognize the person's in the property. So you probably want to share not just the importance of booking direct again for their next stay, but some local recommendations or other value that you can provide them during the stay. And this is really the first time you'll be speaking not just to the booker, but the entire guest party. So most people receiving this welcome email will not be the booker, right? So you have to remember they don't have a lot of familiarity with you or your brand at all. So you want to introduce who you are to the entire party of individuals, explain the value and what you guys are doing, and then share with them how they can book again with you, your favorite things in the area to do, or other information that makes them, your brand seem like an important, valuable thing to them versus the OTA. If someone's signing up on your website, important to send them whatever content you promised. So if you said you're going to give them an area guide or a discount off a booking, it's easy to set up an automation based on a sign up on the website through a form. And then you can also set up some really cool kind of automated messaging based around other data, the booking date or the last time they stayed date or their birth date. So if you, for instance, collect birth date through StayFi, that data gets sent into the guest record in Campaign Monitor within StayFi. And then you can set out an email on their birth date that gives them a special discount. Or you could send them an email 9 months since they last stayed with you. So you can set up other triggers that are automated that send great personalized content to the guests based on the data you've stored about them. And then maybe you want to juice bookings or drive bookings around certain events or offers. That's a great way to send off one-off campaigns. And the cool part is even though we store the guests in different lists within StayFi, Campaign Monitor makes it really easy to send an email to everybody, no matter what list they're on, which is a big difference with MailChimp, which makes that kind of a painful process. So that way you can easily say like, hey, we have this cool event in our destination next month, or it's our shoulder season and bookings are a little weak and we want to do a one-time offer. You can easily blast off a one-off email to your entire list of all the data you've collected, whether it's through Wi-Fi, uplisting, or a list that you manually uploaded. Now we're going to switch over and actually look at some emails that a customer is sending through StayFi, and they're a company called Juniper Holiday and Home. They're mid-size, so they have 14 homes in Michigan they're currently managing, although I know they've been adding a lot more lately. And they kind of have a setup very similar to what you could do with the Uplisting website. So they use the website, the Uplisting website, as the booking engine. But in order to add more content like management services, concierge services, they built a Squarespace website on top of it. So whenever you hit a property or hit booking, it goes into that Uplisting booking engine. But the Squarespace website lets them build all this other content before the booking engine because they want to feature other things about their rentals and their services. And they came to us and Switchback as their agency to develop kind of a really robust email marketing strategy. Kind of diving into like, how do they strategically set up all these emails, right? It seems a little daunting at first. If you back up, remember, we're kind of having 3 collection points for guest data. One's a web form, which is on their Squarespace site. One's through their PMS, so Uplisting, and the final one's through StayFi, the Wi-Fi. Think about web form is collecting people that have never stayed with you, prospective guests on the website, as well as homeowners. So it's important to remember the web form is actually speaking to 2 audiences since they are managing homes. They actually have a lot of homeowner inquiries come through the web form. So that's important to remember when it comes to messaging. When it comes to the PMS data, those are people that have booked but are probably going to stay in the future, where we have collected their real email. And then StayFi is collecting all the data of the guests in the property. When those emails are collected, they're triggering an automation from StayFi, whether it's an email to the web form folks, PMS, StayFi. When it comes to the PMS one, they're actually doing that through Uplisting because those are all kind of those pre-arrival checklist type emails. And then finally, the newsletter they're sending out monthly, that's when they take all the data, combine it into one list, and are sending a monthly newsletter about their services, which combines messaging about both their property management program as well as their kind of why you should book again with them directly. The web form, how do they set it up? There's lots of different ways to set up web forms, depending on what type of website you have, whether it's WordPress, Squarespace, you paid a Boostly agency to build it for you, when then they would help you. But the cool thing about Squarespace is they have a Zapier integration with Campaign Monitor, which is what StayFi is using. So you can connect a web form you build in Squarespace to our email tool so all the data gets pulled in. Another way to do it is when you create a list in StayFi, you have the ability to build one of these forms on the right, which can be a pop-up or you can paste it in. So if you paste this code into the header of your Uplisting website, it will make this pop-up appear automatically whenever someone visits, so you can collect their data. So there's lots of different ways to add a form to your website. It just depends, how your website's built. It's going to be a little bit different for everybody, but it's definitely always achievable to collect data on your website. And it's super important to do this if you've invested in search marketing or social media marketing, because every time you're driving a person to your website, you want to try to collect this data from them. This is what they're actually sending whenever somebody fills out this web form. And you can see on the right here, this is an email built in our Campaign Monitor tool by Switchback, which is our agency. So if you want a custom template built for you, Switchback can do that. And you can see kind of the styling that Switchback has added, this kind of cool motif with these leaves throughout it because their name's Juniper, so that really ties in well with their brand. And you can see here in the email what content they're sending. It's definitely content that's focused both on homeowners and guests. So you can see here they have something about their commitment, their mission, and on the right they have both a kind of area to explore all the neighborhoods, so to book a property. But on the bottom, it's really pushing vacation rental management. So what's cool is for the web form, they're really giving this dual message to both guests and homeowners because they're not exactly sure which type of audience is engaging on the website. So it's important to remember who you might be speaking to in each message. For StayFi, we know that we're talking just to guests because when you use StayFi, you're collecting data from everybody staying in the property. On the left here, it just shows the setup diagram for StayFi. So to use StayFi, you purchase a device from us called an access point that broadcasts a guest network in your vacation rental property. That's what you tell guests to join to get the splash page on the right. It's really easy to set up, especially if you are working with homeowners, because you don't have to disrupt the homeowner's Wi-Fi. You can leave that running in the background. When you plug in our access point, it broadcasts a branded Wi-Fi network, in this case called Juniper Holiday and Home Guest, in every property. And that's what you tell guests to join instead of the original Wi-Fi network, which is still running in the background. When the guest joins it, they get the splash page you set for that home. They enter their information. We use a service that actually checks that the email is real. So you're not going to collect fake emails that bounce. And then once the guest hits connect, they get forwarded to the website of your choice. And they only do this once per device. So if they had a phone and a computer, they log in one time and they're good to go for the rest of their stay. And that way we are giving every guest that seamless introduction to your brand, collecting their data, and letting them go on and enjoy the Wi-Fi for the rest of their stay easily. Once the guest has logged in through the Wi-Fi, this is the automation that this particular company is sending to that individual. So on the right here is kind of what the little builder looks like. So these two screens is subscriber enters Wi-Fi welcome segment. So they log into the Wi-Fi, then they get this email, welcome valued subscriber, and then it has this information about the brand. And then they actually have it set up so that it waits 5 days and then sends another email. So it's important to remember that when you're setting up this automation, you can actually set up as many steps as you like. So if you kind of know that you're not going to be able to put together a monthly newsletter for a while, you could spend the time to create 6 emails that get sent over 6 months. And so you know every guest is receiving 6 months of content, and you don't have to worry about email marketing for 6 more months when it comes to, they get to the end of the automation and you want to create some new content. And then on the left, you can see here the message is, it's vacation time. So typically people are logging into the Wi-Fi on the first day. So the messaging is more oriented towards, what you can do while you're at the property. And this company really stresses these upsells. So they have these concierge services. So they're using this opportunity to push the concierge services to the entire guest party, because maybe the booker saw it and didn't think they'd be interested, but the booker's wife or husband is like, oh, this is awesome. We should book this adventure. And that way you're getting the ability to advertise any value add services to the entire guest party easily through this email. And if you offer things like late checkout or extending the stays, you can also plug those services as well. So you can drive more incremental revenue for each stay. And finally, then at the bottom here, they're pushing to book again. So explaining why you should book with them directly if you want another wonderful home that's maintained at this level. And you can explore all the different locations here. And I'm, always thrilled to see, we hear from customers that people will book their next stay during the current stay because they love the property so much. And they don't want to go back into the OTA world where there's a lot more variability when it comes to quality and really knowing if this listing is legit or not. So once they found a company they trust, people do want to book again and again with them, especially if they understand the value and reasons why. And then finally, like I mentioned, everybody who, no matter where their data is collected, gets pushed into this monthly newsletter. So everybody, for instance, who came from Uplisting or StayFi is getting pushed into this. And you can see this newsletter that Switchback built covers kind of all the different things we talked about. So first, the kind of commitment, the mission, the property management services, displays these, properties that they want to push. It's a great place to push new properties. So if your homeowners are subscribed, you want to show to the homeowners that you are, pushing their properties to this, proprietary list of emails and past guests that you have. So if you have a new property, that's a great way to place it here as well. And then they're showing concierge services and then finally neighborhoods. So they're really covering the whole gamut of why you should book again directly, the services they offer, and then also management, because part of this audience might also be prospective homeowners or guests who might want to purchase vacation rentals in the area and have you manage them as well. finally, I know we have 10 minutes left, so we're kind of at the last piece here, which is, okay, so you're doing all this amazing marketing. How do you measure this? And this is a sample page of one of our customers' Google Analytics. And if you go to the top here, this first section, this shows you the source of traffic to their direct booking website. And you can see they have direct, Google Organic, Google CPC, and email. So direct is just people that are, getting referred directly to the website, or typing it into their, into the URL bar and going there. Google Organic is through organic search. So they search for, Michigan vacation rentals and then found your listing and click there. That's definitely going to be more important as you grow larger. It's important to remember that also that people searching for your brand name, maybe Juniper Homes, some of them may have seen your name in the Wi-Fi or an email. So this is last click attribution. So just because someone Googled you didn't mean that the reason they Googled you was because they saw you in an email or social media or somewhere else before. So when it comes to the email segment at the bottom, those are just people that clicked from the email and then booked you right then and there. So it's important to remember that even though, it seems like, oh, I only got 7 bookings through email, is that enough? Some of the organic traffic only came because you sent an email about them and then they Googled you later. And then on the bottom left, you can see that behavior when Google Analytics is able to track it. So this shows you the kind of the path that people went to when it came to booking. And you can see, on the bottom, second to bottom one, for instance, there's a email to paid search to organic search to direct. So that means someone saw your email, then they clicked one of your paid search listings, then they searched for your name, and then they came directly to your website and then booked. Because nobody is typically just going to get the email and book right then. Typically, they may see the email a few times, then they may Google you, then they may come back, then they may search on Airbnb and then Google your name again and come back, or Google it on a phone, and then sessions are not connected in Google Analytics. So the kind of the email segment above is the minimum that email drove for your business. But it's important to remember that a lot of those Google bookings wouldn't be happening if it wasn't for email marketing, just because the kind of the funnel to book is never so linear as just get the email and then book right then and there. But this gives you a directional sense of how well you're performing. And, once you start sending emails, you'll start seeing those numbers increase over time as people come and book you directly. And this also doesn't include, we have a lot of people who are asking people, when do you want to come back? And the person responds in an email, I want to book then. And then they're doing the booking over a phone or doing the booking over email in a manual process. This is only going to capture people who do the transaction on the website. So if you're doing things like promo codes, manually attributing people back to emails, or just looking at your bookings overall, that can give you some additional color as to how your marketing is performing. But there's no one easy solution to do the measurement. It's kind of a constellation of different tools that can give you a really good picture of how much email is driving for your business. Now, Vince, that's pretty much all on my end, except for this last piece here, which is a promo code for StayFi. So if you do want to get signed up for StayFi, you can use the code Uplisting for 50% off your first 3 months of our service. And some people have been curious about the switchback services within StayFi. So if you did want one of those really cool custom templates that you saw that Juniper is using, that costs $9.99, and you also get an hour call with Switchback on training you on Campaign Monitor. They'll actually migrate any data you have into Campaign Monitor, and they'll set up an automated welcome email to all the guests assigned to the Wi-Fi and explain Google Analytics. So I think this is if you are a novice or a beginner when it comes to email marketing, this premium onboarding package within StayFi is an amazing way to get everything you need to get started, including an automated email and a really cool template. If you're more experienced and you just kind of want to help getting started, they have this cheaper onboarding package as well. And they also offer monthly services if you want to hand it all over to them. So whether you have no experience or a ton of experience with email marketing, we want to make sure we have the right products and services for you so that you can, successfully get started.
Awesome. Thanks, Arthur. Lots of information. Those Google attributes are challenging for all of us to figure out. Always trying to figure out where people are coming from.
Exactly. I don't know, Oliver, if there are any like specific questions you want us to cover, that would be good. I don't know if we can invite him onto the stage and let me know, because I know he was answering a lot of them in here. Or did you have any good questions you saw, Vince, that I should answer?
Well, I answered all of the uplisting ones. I'm trying to think. I think Oliver's answered pretty much. Well, every question has been answered. At least we can say that much. Anything in chat? Anybody? Okay, what's the monthly fee? Is a question.
Yeah. So StayFi, there's kind of two pieces. One is, like I mentioned before, you purchase this device called an access point. If you're in North America, you purchase it from us, outside from Ubiquity directly. That costs between $125 and $205. We sell different models depending on the house size. So $125 is like up to about 4 bedrooms, and then we sell called long range device for 5 to 6 bedrooms, 7 bedrooms even. That's $205. And then our devices also mesh together. So for like a 10-bedroom home, you might need 2 or 3. And then we charge a monthly subscription to use the Wi-Fi service that ranges between $4 and $10. So if you only have one property, it's $10 a month. When you add more devices, the monthly subscription price goes down, and that's available on our website on the pricing page. And then if you want to use our email marketing tool, that's a separate charge, like I mentioned, based on the number of contacts you have. And there you're just getting a discount off the price you would pay if you went to Campaign Monitor directly. And it's comparable or cheaper than a similar MailChimp plan for the same number of contacts.
Okay, and then we had a few questions around if this is going to be available as a recording, and it will be. I think it goes out automatically, but if not, we can send it out so you can view.
Awesome.
So that was the most popular question.
Yes, I know there's like a ton of content, a little bit of a brain dump there. So
yeah.
Hopefully they got you interested in email marketing and wanting to get started. And then obviously we support you all along the way. So, if you're like, how do I set up an automation? What's the best way to make a template? Our team's available to help answer those basic questions. So, we can make sure you have the minimum set up so that you can be successful with collecting data from both Uplisting and StayFi.
Yeah, and likewise, we have lots of support on our side if you want to get set up with your direct booking website or just use Uplisting generally.
Sweet. Vince, this is so great. Thanks for letting me come share on your webinar, and look forward to doing something again in the future. So
yeah, fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, so we'll send emails out with the recording, and any questions, just reach out. And both of us will be happy to respond.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Take care. Bye, everybody.